So it's 7:33, and I make a motion that we start our WCAC meeting. It's the 7th of February 2024. Do I have a second?
A second.
Great. I guess we'll just take a roll call vote. I vote that we start our meeting. Ann Sussman, how do you vote?
How do you vote?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Great.
Okay.
Anna, what about you?
Yes.
Great. Barbara?
Yes.
Great. And Nicole?
Yes.
Thank you. Awesome. All right. So our first order of business is minutes, and I'm going to try to, let's see. I'm going to share my screen and go
Share my
to
screen.
minutes. Oops. Okay, let's see. Let's go to these minutes that Barbara put together. And this was from November 16th. We had, hopefully everyone can see these. We had a question about whether the advice to Patrick Cleary was that he could or could not use
those
spaces on Com Ave in front of the 13B property to count in his required amount of parking spaces. And I believe that Barbara found out that the answer was no, he cannot, and that he was going to come up with a plan that did not incorporate those spaces. Is that right, Barbara?
Yes, the very last words of the meeting, he says, I will take those front spaces out.
Oh, okay. That's pretty
He says,
clear.
I will take those front spaces out.
It's pretty clear.
Are you guys hearing an echo at all?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not sure what to do about it. If somebody has like an auxiliary audio situation going on, if you could just close that down, that would be great. Okay, so let's see, Barbara, did you put that information in here into these new minutes, or should we be adding that?
No, I put it in. And the other, you also had a question about whether he had actually started work on this project in 2010.
So
And that was in the very front part of the audio, the recording. So I did add that, and I tried to make it a little bit clearer.
Yes, thank you.
And I sent it around, and I didn't hear back from anybody.
Okay. Let's take a vote on whether these minutes can be final with Barbara's adjustments. Thanks so much for chasing down that information, Barbara. I make a motion that these minutes can be final.
I second it.
Great. All right, I guess roll call vote. I vote yes, the minutes can be final. Ann Sussman. Ann, you're frozen, or? Well, Anna, do you vote that the minutes can be final?
Yes.
Okay. Barbara, do you vote that the minutes can be final?
Yes.
Great. Nicole, do you vote that the minutes can be final?
Yes.
And Ann Sussman, do you vote that the minutes can be final? Looks like Ann might not be hearing me. And can the minutes be final? These minutes here, the ones from 11/16?
yes.
Great. Okay. All right. So that takes care of these. And then let's see. We have Ann Sussman's minutes. Oops.
And
Let's see here.
Susan, while you're looking at that, looking for that, I wanted to show John Cooley is on.
Oh, great. Welcome, John.
Okay, yeah, I think the Zoom link changed.
That is true. I think the town updated it for this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm. Got
Yes.
it.
Okay, sorry that I'm having a hard time finding these minutes. And do you happen to have them on your computer to do a screen share?
And you have your computer to do a screen share?
Sure, I can do that. Let me just pull them up. I can do it. I can find them right now.
That would be great.
Hold on.
Okay, so I'm gonna just take some notes
Except
live
my
right here.
Computer. I'm at.
Hmm.
So, and,
It's,
and you might have to turn your video off.
oh, okay, that's what I'll do. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see
If that
I
helps.
can do.
I can see if I save these minutes in my Google Drive. It's
It's.
possible.
My computer is not liking me right now. Oh, let me turn my video off.
Okay,
Okay. See if I can get them now.
I will also look and see if I saved them up to my drive here.
Oh, here.
Shoot. I don't know if our connectivity with Ann is going so well.
Yeah, it's just the connectivity is, it's not letting me open. Hold on. Let me see if it's let me go onto my Mac.
I'm trying to find them too, so one of us hopefully. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Here we go. Wait, I just found them.
I'm trying to.
You got the updated one?
I am not sure if I did, but I found at least the version that you had originally circulated, and maybe we could make the changes live if you don't mind. Here we go. Sorry, everybody. Oh, wait, this is what I want to share.
Corrected the version that you want.
Do you have the corrected
And
version?
maybe
Oh,
we could make the changes.
Nicole
there
has
we
her hand up.
I'm having difficulty hearing Ann.
Me
It's
too.
wobbly.
Yeah,
It's going in and out, and it's hard to hear everything.
yeah, I agree. I don't know, Ann, do you want to try to reconnect at all? I think we do have these minutes here. If you guys can see what I'm sharing that Ann had created.
I think we each have minutes here.
Getting a lot of feedback for some reason. Okay, let's see if we can motor through this. All right, so this was our last meeting. We reviewed the minutes that Barbara had put together. And I mentioned the pervasive issues and talked about development laws not being up to date. Barbara is going to listen to she listened to the meeting again to update the minutes. Let's see, Linda was welcomed. Greg Dorothy introduced himself. Did an update on projects. 166. We talked about getting together with other committees. And then this is a lot of some of the planning that I think we will continue doing tonight. Are you all able to hear me okay? Okay.
Seeing
Nods. Good.
Yeah, we could do that. You need to do.
And what were the things that we ended up changing on these?
There was the only thing we changed was on this, the page above where you talk, it says we could do that.
And you sound kind of like a robot underwater right now. Unfortunately, it's very hard to understand what you're saying.
underwater, right?
Do
Very
you want to
hard.
try joining on your phone, maybe?
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I
Oh.
totally know you're not at home. But if you want to maybe try joining on your phone, sometimes it's easier to get a connection to Zoom on your phone over the cell network versus Wi-Fi. I don't know if
But,
that's the problem or not.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so Barbara.
I had just sent Anne one question, which was whether in fact, her first comment, current bylaws governing West Concord development, and I said, are they actually bylaws or are they guidance? I just wasn't clear, and I don't know whether that's anything that got addressed or not.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good catch because this would be design guidelines
Yeah,
and or maybe just zoning that covers, you know, Concord as a whole. I think that's what would be in play that is, you know, constraining or enabling things. So
but
maybe let me
not
make that
bylaws
change.
per se.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. The design guidelines and zoning. Okay. Okay. Great. Did anyone else have a chance to review these in advance and have any changes or clarifications?
I read through them and I didn't see anything wrong that I could remember.
Okay. Great. I'm trying to see if there's anyone else.
Yeah, I read them and I thought they were fine.
Okay.
I
All right.
did.
Well, then let's take a vote on whether we can make these
Let's take
meeting-
a
these
vote
meeting
on
minutes final. I make a motion that these minutes can be final.
Second it.
Thank you. All right. So I vote yes, they can be final. Anna, what's your vote?
Yes.
Great.
what's your
Barbara, what's your vote?
Yes,
Anne, what's your vote? Maybe Anne, raise your hand or something. I'll go on to John. John, what's your vote?
Yep.
Great. Nicole?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yep.
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So I think we have the majority of, well, everyone who can audibly vote has voted. So we will consider these to be made final. Thanks for bearing with me on that, everyone. Okay.
Very.
I almost have the meeting minutes from October 4th done. I'm embarrassed that it's taken me so long, but I will be circulating those this week, I promise, and you guys can take a look at those and we can
guys
take them next meeting. Okay. Not sure if maybe one of the members of the public has some sort of auxiliary speaker situation going, but there's some feedback that I'm hearing. So if you guys could just check your audio, that would be great.
So
Awesome.
Susan, I'm gonna suggest that everybody keep themselves muted unless they need to speak. I think that's what's causing the feedback.
Okay, that's a great idea. All right, thank you, everyone. So let's see. At the beginning of the meeting, we noted that Greg Dorothy was approved at the planning board yesterday. And he will go on to the select board as his next step in the journey on becoming a WCAC member. So we're super excited for that. I just wanted to mention that we also did get another volunteer card from another individual. I need to touch base with them and make sure that there's a potential spot on the committee for them, but that would be amazing to have our committee fully filled out. So we'll look forward to that. So let's see. All right. So then moving on to priorities for 2024, those meeting minutes that we just went over reminded us that we were talking about trying to make some progress on just like systemic things that we keep bumping into when we hear from developers, like concerns that tend to raise up over and over again about just like, you know, walkability, crosswalks, the look of buildings that are being built in West Concord Junction, et cetera. And so our team did some research, actually. Linda and I researched the feasibility of doing design guidelines for West Concord Junction. They haven't been done for, I think, a little bit over 10 years. And it seems as if things are changing enough that it would behoove us to take another look at having updated design guidelines in place. And Elizabeth, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I know that you've got loads of experience with these design guidelines projects, and I've heard that they kind of take a while, but I was wondering if you might be able to share with us any thoughts that you have, you know, especially in light of some changes that are happening, like with the MCI facility closing down, and what that would mean to trying to envision the use of that property, and should we get some design guidelines in place to help out with that effort?
So for the first part, if the goal of the committee is to have the guidelines updated, I would probably suggest you not wait for MCI Concord.
Yep.
That the disposition of that property and, you know, the master planning effort that's going to go along with that, you know, that's a couple of years. So, but the, you know, the opportunity to, you know, incorporate design guidelines may be a completely separate process that happens with that whole, you know, master planning effort. So I think the West Concord design guidelines deal more with, you know, the business district and the village. And
Yeah.
And MCI Concord, you know, that's kind of something else. So, you know, I'm not sure you necessarily want to wait to try and incorporate the existing guidelines, because I think MCI Concord is going to be something new.
Yep.
So with that said, you know, updating those design guidelines is definitely not something that was done or can be done in-house. So you would be, you know, having a conversation with the planning board about that process, and about, you know, what type of grant funding is there, or technical assistance funding, you know, that's out there for that. And moving forward in that direction. You know, there's, you know, options, you know, and it also depends on, you know, having, you know, this committee having the conversation of, you know, what is the scope of, you know, that update, and having that conversation with the planning board on, you know, what's the scope of the update. And then that conversation informs, okay, how big is this scope as far as cost, and what type of grant programs or technical assistance would be best suited to, you know, assist in having that done. So I think it's, you know, it's having the the initial conversation of, you know, what is it, you know, just because they were done a long time ago, doesn't mean that they're all bad or wrong or not suited any longer. So, you know, I think you start with that conversation. Is it just certain pieces that need to be looked at? Well, you know, maybe that doesn't need a whole scale, you know, redo, or, you know, it's having the conversation also with, you know, the cultural district and, you know, having them come in, or you know, maybe it's this committee in the cultural district having a conversation with, you know, the planning board and getting things moving. And but that would be my suggestion.
Okay, I appreciate that. I have reached out to the cultural district already to just kind of help them understand what we're working on and set up those closer ties that I think this committee used to have with them that had fallen by the wayside during the pandemic. So we're going to try to get that going again. When you say like approaching the planning board to talk about what is the scope, what's the need, would that usually be like us getting on the agenda during a planning board meeting, or should that be a separate like one-on-one meeting with me and Linda Miller? Like, what would you suggest? Like, what would usually be the format to get something going?
Both. I mean,
Okay.
I would probably touch base with, you know, Linda as the chair, and, you know, then, you know, from there, I'm always an advocate of kind of everybody being in the room at the same time. So whether it's, you know, a joint meeting, this committee, the cultural district, and the planning board, those are harder to round up.
Yeah.
So, but I sometimes think that they become more productive.
Hmm.
And also, you know, there is, while, Zoom has been great for a lot of things, you know, maybe it's two members of each of the three kind of having just a working session to map out how the thing should, you know, how the conversation should move forward.
Hmm.
You know, that's a little bit easier sometimes
Yep.
to manage, and then have it be the whole group.
Okay. That sounds good. And is there any sort of cycle that we should keep in mind? I mean, I know like the town meeting timing, which is what usually in April or May, creates a natural cycle in the life of the town and how busy any other, well, the planning board is in getting ready for town meeting and all of that stuff. Would you say that right now would be a good time to get going on this, or is it going to be tough to get the planning board's attention till after town meeting passes? Just trying to get some insight.
It'll be tough to get the planning board's attention till after town meeting.
Okay.
March is just tough because the whole entire month is either, for, you know, especially this year, an election, public hearings, snow dates, you know. So we try not to schedule meetings on any of the town meeting, public hearing dates, or snow dates.
Yep.
So it makes it very challenging. And also, we're trying to not schedule additional meetings the same time. The Board of Appeals has a special public hearing for either of the comprehensive permits.
Yeah.
So March is difficult. And, you know, but April, you know, the planning board is, you know, working on their presentations, and so that can happen. And, you know, then, you know, starting in May, it becomes a little bit easier.
Okay. That is good to know. So I guess I'm wondering for members of this committee, having heard what Elizabeth just said about like the timing and the process, is this something that we're still interested in going forward with? Because I have some ideas about how we can maybe split up some of the work to be prepared for these conversations, but I just want to make sure that everyone still has the appetite for this. Anna, go ahead.
I do have the appetite for it. I read through the 74 pages and the shorter document. And it seemed to me like they don't need to be totally redone, maybe just kind of freshened up. And new dates put on them. So when people come in, they don't see a document that's 12 years old. They see something that's fresh. So, I mean, it seemed to me, once I read it, more doable, actually.
That's great to hear. That's great to hear. Anne, go ahead.
Oh, I think, I totally agree with what Anna just said, and I think we could do it. I think we need to do it. And I think I'm very worried, as you know, about safe walking and biking. I find it very, very dangerous biking through the cultural district right now. I do it almost every day, even in the snow. And I think we need to really look at getting parking requirements. We have to really look at what other towns have done, like Rockport, Northampton, really making super clear where people go to park. Actually looking at the zoning for each, rather than right now, what I've seen in the past 3 years, the way we do things is not the way other towns do things. They look at the entire cultural district and zone for that.
Yeah.
They don't, and we need to look at it that way. We need to look at making, like what Northampton does, making safe walking, biking the priority, just in the
No,
zoning.
and I get that, Anne. Let's just have Elizabeth respond to that, because I'd be interested to hear her feedback on that.
Yeah, so so the planning board already has, in the process, they had a consultant look at the zoning bylaw and the parking requirements, and that's something that they will be moving forward over the next year in looking at. What I really want to be, and this is where it's a conversation of the committee of what it is that you're seeking to do. The design guidelines are design guidelines. They're not parking requirements. They're not cultural district focus. They're strictly design guidelines. And so if that's the goal of the committee, is to update those design guidelines, that's the conversation, the direction you need to move. That is not zoning. And that's a completely different topic.
I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt, but this is a different subject. We were talking about both. Yes, at last meeting, we were talking about both.
We were talking about both, but and I think what I'm hearing Elizabeth say is that there's possibly things in process right now through the planning board that are gonna help us with clarifying some of the parking rules and all of that. I mean, I do remember the planning board starting a parking process. I don't know, maybe at least planning to within the last year, as you were saying, Elizabeth. So it could be that we don't necessarily need to, redundantly dig into that it's already in flight. And maybe the question is, like, how do we get more involved in what the planning board is doing related to parking? Is there an opportunity for us to be part of their process with their consultant?
So we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah.
that's, we really need to ask them, how can we make it easier and safer to park and bike? And what should we be doing to help your planning initiatives? And
Yeah.
what are the deadlines? Because what I'm seeing too is it's pretty slow getting things to happen in Concord. And so what are the deadlines here to make safe walkability?
Okay. So let me, before I go to you, Barbara, I would love to go to Elizabeth for a sec and ask, do you have any advice, Elizabeth, on how we can get involved with the planning board's parking investigation or consulting engagement?
Mark Giddings is the planning board member who is, I'm gonna say, the lead board member in this. And I believe it's the meeting on April. He's going to be taking all of the, I'm going to be creating kind of like the MBTA communities page, a dedicated, zoning parking requirement page, posting the technical memos that their consultant pulled together, the last 6 months. Mark is going to be taking those technical memos and basically putting it in non-transport traffic engineer speak, and putting it in something that people can understand, and what the current requirement is, what the recommendation is, and and the planning board's gonna start having a conversation on prioritizing those, what
Mm.
can be kind of like short-term, long-term, what may be, require additional study beyond this. Conversation about, you know, holistic, parking ideas. Well, that's a much larger conversation because, you have to really involve private property owners. And that takes, a lot more effort than just saying, okay, four spaces
just
per,
saying, okay,
per 1,000 square feet, now industry standards, it's, 3 spaces per 1,000 square feet, or, those are much, different things. So he is going to be putting together that chart, and I think it is the first meeting in April,
Hmm.
April 2nd,
Great.
is the intended date where the planning board's going to have that conversation.
That is great to know, because I think we would love to hear what their consultants' findings were and be part of that conversation, because we continue to double back on this topic a lot.
Yeah.
Barbara, sorry that I didn't get a chance to get to you yet, but go ahead.
No, that's okay. You also sent along design guidelines from Swampscott,
Yeah.
which were really nice. I found them a simpler set of design guidelines to go through than the ones that were done 10 years ago. But what struck me the most is up front, a greater emphasis on green space
Mm.
and the trees and bushes and planting, and overall how to connect all of those things, which I think either Anna mentioned in our last meeting as well. And I don't recall seeing that in our ones from 10 years ago. They may be in there and I just missed it, but they really have it up front. And so when we're thinking about what we might want to do differently or to add into the guidelines from 10 years ago, that might be a direction to go. There's just an overall greater emphasis 10, 11 years hence, and the importance of green space, and for many reasons, visual, environmental, design, all kinds of things. So I found that really helpful to read and to think about in a little bit of a different way. That's something I would suggest. One of the things we might add as opposed to just quote unquote updating everything.
Yeah. Thanks. That's a really great point. I like maybe for us to come up with the themes that we're interested in emphasizing, maybe in a redo or a redesign or refresh of the guidelines, and then figure out where we can pull those pieces through or add them to different sections of what we've got, and possibly like simplify what we have. Anna, did you have another comment? You have your hand still up, so I wasn't sure. Oh, you're on mute.
I didn't see the Swampscott ones. Did you send those in the same? Because I got the Concord ones from the agenda, but the Swampscott ones were in an email.
They were in an email, and I can't remember what like the topic of my email may have been. It could have been a reminder that our meeting was at 7:30. I can't quite
Mhm.
recall, but I'll circulate
Okay.
those again because I thought they were a nice, and it was one particular area of Swampscott, not the entire town of
Mhm.
Swampscott. So it was a more like micro focus, but I think, yeah, they're very readable and they were done very recently. So that's probably why they are so, yeah,
So
updated.
then we're our three, so we have green space and the interconnection of green space. We have parking, and I know the parking's different, but like, that's something that we have come up against, like the issues that we have come up against repeatedly. And then bikeability, walkability, right?
Mhm.
Was there anything else as a big theme?
I would say from what I have gleaned from these meetings over a few years is the architecture and how it either sometimes by developers is proposed to match or not match what is already in West Concord and what is like currently along Commonwealth Ave, basically.
Yeah. But I guess I thought the design thing was sort of focused on that already. isn't that what the primary purpose of it was in the past? The architecture?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And it's interesting because those particular guidelines don't seem to necessarily be producing the projects that we would hope to see, if you get what I'm
That's-
saying,
Yes,
like,
that's true. Yeah.
even though,
I
and
was
I think,
surprised at how nice they were, actually, when I read it. I was like, well, obviously nobody's looking at this.
yeah. Or yeah, maybe they're choosing to just skim through as opposed to read more deeply. But yeah, I feel like maybe we need to emphasize the architecture piece and the, I guess, consistency of architecture in the town center area that we're looking for. I'm going to go to Nicole first and then Anne after that. Nicole, go ahead.
That was my question. And how can we get these developers to adhere to the guidelines? We really can't, can we? Because they're just guidelines.
I think that's true, but Elizabeth, can I phone a friend on that and just confirm what my suspicion is?
Um, you are correct. I mean, they are only guidelines. So I think it's, again, it's having that conversation with, the planning board. It's also, if you do move forward and update things, it is also, talking with, the property owners who, if, a property, is getting ready to change hands, it's making sure, property owners and real estate brokers and, that they understand, the importance of them, the value of them, but at the end of the day, they are just guidelines. So they are just guidelines. It would be, they're, and that, every community who has design guidelines struggles with that. It's not something that you put into zoning. So I think that's how you would best approach it, would be, to really have that public engagement and that public education about them, throughout the community. Because the current ones were done. There were,
2011, I believe.
yeah, so, right, so, that's over 10, that's over 10 years. Turnover in the community and property owners and, even real estate agents and brokers, is significant. So, part of it just may be an education piece as well.
And then Elizabeth, when there are people looking to, I don't know, develop property in West Concord Junction or modify it, they generally are coming through maybe your office, or is it like this permitting office or something? Like, it'd be good to understand the flow points where these different development companies are coming through, or we could possibly intercept them in a nice way.
So I'm not sure there is no permitting office. I mean, they usually start either in our office or,
Okay.
Upstairs in the building department.
Okay.
It's kind of interesting where certain people start that conversation. It's, some people immediately start with water and sewer. Because what, if they can't get a sewer increase, they don't even bother. So,
Okay.
again, I think it's that education piece that will be helpful.
One more quick question. Do you get a sense that developers use the Concord Town website to learn about their development prospects, or do you feel like they are really not making use of it?
it goes both ways.
Okay.
You know, sadly, I met with two today about different projects and, I was their first stop and they were, really, looking into it. Sometimes, you know, sadly, sometimes it's just a real estate broker trying to get a tenant. That tenant gets pushed into, signing a lease and then coming to the town and finding out, well, that's not even a permitted use.
Mm,
So sadly, it goes both ways.
okay.
But, and, and there's, some projects where it is a redevelopment of the site and, we don't see it until, it's like, well, I, just entered a purchase and sale on this property and this, here's my concept. And I look at a concept and it's like, oh, okay. Did your architect even know about the West Concord design guidelines? And your rendering, I suggest you take the 4-lane, California highway out of the rendering.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna mute you again just because the feedback is so bad. So it goes both ways. I've seen it, and
Okay.
we all know the ones that are ahead of the game and do more planning and research. Those projects seem to go smoother than others.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for that insight there. Barbara, do you want to go ahead and make your comment?
I think there was a mention earlier as we looked at them that they are 72 pages long. And I'm wondering if there might be a way to edit that down. I know there's a preamble, but there might be a way to edit that down so that it is not so overwhelming. I found it overwhelming to look at, and I'm not a developer, but to me, it was too much information presented in such a way that might be difficult and I can understand if somebody hands you a 72-page document and says, here's some suggestions about how your design should work. Not going to be the first thing they read. And again, the Swampscott one, which was a nice example that you sent to us, much clearer, much more specific. No photographs, just drawings included in it. And I'm wondering if we might try to edit down what exists so that it's a little bit more straightforward and not quite so overwhelming. That might encourage people to use it. We might also suggest that any of the departments, when somebody comes in, whether it's water and sewer or they come to Elizabeth, that they get pointed to this part either on the website or there's a physical copy they can be handed right away if we're concerned that people really don't know that they exist.
Yeah. That's a great point. I think as we try to liaise with other committees more, we should keep in mind which ones might be these entry points for developers or folks who are looking to make property changes or acquire property and kind of have a have something that we say in those committee meetings to just remind folks that those guidelines exist. Let's see. And sorry,
Susan, just
Elizabeth. Yeah.
to Barbara's point, just real quickly, part of this may also be, I understand the document 79 pages, but from a formatting, readability, it may just need to just be redone by a publisher, and reformatted, retexted, graphically done different. And that's actually something that could be done fairly simple, refresh images or, that type of thing. So, and that may be something that we can do in-house.
Okay. I'm going to go to Anne real quick and then John.
Well,
And
why don't you go to John first? Because I realized my thing is on, you wanted me to update, it was another subject, talking to the select board about a design review board.
yeah, okay, so let me go to John and then we'll go back to you, Anne. Okay, John.
As mine's real quick, what, I wonder if we can just find the, whoever helped Swampscott with their, design guidelines. It's really nicely done, and maybe they can just point us in that direction.
Yeah, it's MAPC, Metropolitan Area Planning Council, and I think they undertake these design guidelines pretty frequently. So I think, yeah, I'm gonna be reaching out to someone there just to kind of do like a informational interview, so to speak, and gather some insight as to how what the flavors of help with this kind of thing are. Like, to Elizabeth's point, maybe it's a light refresh and not something where we're like throwing the old thing out
Right.
and saying create it from scratch. So I'm going to learn a little bit more about that, and I'll definitely circulate that info to the committee. But I wonder also if it might make sense to split up the current guidelines and each of us take like a certain set of pages and just like put some notes on in terms of like where something might be like too much, or where it needs to be articulated better, or maybe a nicer picture or something, just to do a quick flyby on what would the changes be that we would like to see if we could redesign like the 5 pages we were assigned or something. But I'll get back to that at the
But we
later
also
on.
what we all should do is what John suggests too, is evidence-based design. Swampscott's design guidelines are really good. Ask Swampscott about them, ask MIPC, use evidence-based design, and then iterate what they did, what we did.
Yep. Yeah.
Also has a great quote, good artists copy, great artists steal, right? And so it's like, that's what we should do. To have them that's really successful, look at them. We don't have to necessarily adopt them, but then copy what was successful there. So maybe it is, but I also think what Elizabeth said is really true. Just simplify what we have or make it an easier read if it works.
Yeah, a refresh. Yeah, for sure. Okay.
It's really important.
Okay.
But want me to just talk about my next step or not? What?
Yeah, go ahead. Why don't you do it in like a couple of minutes, because I'm still going to try to get back to some other things we need to cover.
I've got to get off the call at 8:30.
Okay.
Because we have been talking about the DRB for a while, as some of you know, in 2006, I worked with the select board there to found a design review board in Acton. It's still going strong. And most towns have design review boards because you really do need professionals who are experts at reading plans to help you interpret them. And Mark Howell seemed, we did meet with him. He did meet, this happened last year at the end, in the winter. He did meet with a design review board member, an architect from Acton. We talked to him about it. Certainly seemed open to it. And Terry Ackerman, I told her about it, and she said you should go to the planning board.
Yeah, so that's on my list. I have not yet had a chance to talk to Linda Miller about what the process would be through the planning board, but I'm hoping to connect with her basically like next week and talk about what the planning board process would be.
What I could do, because I am a licensed architect and I have expertise in this, and I know how things work in other towns like Wellesley, Weston, Hanover, Acton, Boxborough. Maybe what I could do is I could just go with you to the select board. I'm not the select board, to the planning board. When's their next meeting? Do you know?
Ooh, the next meeting I think is on the 20th, if I'm not mistaken, but I'm not actually going to a meeting to talk about this because I think it needs a bit more pre-discussion. So I've got a meeting set up with Linda Miller for next week that I need to talk to her about this, just kind of like on my own, to get a sense for what the planning board's thoughts are on it, and then I can relay that information to you, Anne. I just think it's best for me to kind of pre-introduce this notion before we try to appear in front of the whole planning board to talk about
tell
it.
her that we've already talked to select board members about.
I'm having a hard time hearing you, but I will definitely share my findings with you next week when I am able to.
I will definitely share my findings with you next week when I'm.
Oh, it's weird. Okay, so let's see. Getting back to other things we need to talk about. I know we officially have like 8 minutes left. Would you all be willing to split up the current 72-page design guidelines, take like a set of pages? I'm not sure. Like, okay, so we have how many people? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7 official members of our committee right now. We could each take approximately 10 pages, and I'll can maybe bring up my little note-taking sheet here and just say who's doing what so we don't end up inadvertently stepping on each other's toes. And then we could review that, say, like in our next meeting, whoever's able to get their 10-ish pages done, we could talk about where we can see places to inject themes, where we think things could be shortened. I think that would really be helpful for this process. So let's see. I'm going to just start assigning people, and then I'll circulate this after the meeting, if that's okay. So let's see. I'm going to start with Anna, because it seems like she did some pre-work on this already. Is there a particular set of pages you'd like to take, like in the beginning, middle,
Or
end?
set of pages you'd like to take, like in a.
No, you can give me anything. I'll try it.
Okay. All right, then I'm going to give you like 1 through 10, if that's okay.
Mhm.
And then let's see. I see Barbara. Could I give you, Barbara, like 11 through 20?
Sure.
Okay. John, can I give you an assignment as well, like 21 through 30?
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. Then we've got Nicole. Nicole, can I give you 31 through 40? Ooh, Nicole's raising her hand. Nicole, go ahead.
Shouldn't it be done by the chapters?
Is it easy to split it up by chapters? I just wasn't sure if they were
I
like
looked real
even.
quickly. I looked very quickly.
Okay.
I just think it will make more sense if it's by chapter, won't it?
I think, yeah, honestly, that would probably be best, although maybe sometimes the chapters are not even length. But did you get a sense for how many chapters there were?
There's 9 chapters,
Oh, 9 chapters. Okay.
9 sections, table of
9
contents.
9
There's 9.
sections.
Okay. All right. So let's do this. Then we'll give Anna section 1, Barbara section 2, John
They're
section
going to be
3.
uneven, by the way.
I figured that would happen. Can you tell like which ones are the meatiest? Because I could split those between 2 people.
3 and 4.
3 and 4. Okay. So let's see. 3 and 4. So I would give maybe both John and Nicole 3, and then another 2 people 4. Does that work? Other 2
Yeah, we could maybe finish it the next time if we.
Yeah. Maybe I'll give me and Linda 4 and 5. Let's see, who else do we have? Have I covered everybody? I think I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, okay. So we'll do these 5 chapters as a start, and then we can get back together next meeting and talk about our findings and see how we want to proceed. Oops. And in the meantime, I'll speak to the contact at MAPC to just learn a little bit more about what process they went through with Swampscott or what their customary process is. Okay, let's see. Real quick, related to the West Concord Greenways idea, I mentioned this to the leader of the West Concord Junction Cultural District Committee, and she was really enthused about it and thought they would love to hear more about this. So one thing I wanted to ask is that I'm going to go to their meeting next month and just kind of present on the different initiatives we are working on and have worked on, and uncover hopefully some ideas for partnership. But I was wondering, Anna, if you would be able to come with me to that meeting to talk about your Greenways idea, which I think the full committee would love to hear more about. Their meeting is on the first Tuesday of every month. So it's like literally the night before our meeting usually. So their meeting is on March 5th. Do you think you would be able to accompany me to that meeting?
Yes.
All right. Awesome. Okay. And I'll get in
exciting.
touch. Yeah, it is exciting. Yeah, I'll get in touch with you so we can strategize a little bit about, what we want to say about that sort of early idea that you have. I think one of the reasons they're quite interested in it is they are always wanting to deploy art in various places in the community, and deploying it in green spaces is a natural match. So they're really excited about identifying green spaces and then also hopefully directing folks to art installations there.
Great, thank you.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So let's see. One thing I want to make sure we get to is our planning board sign up, which actually you guys can do after this meeting, but I just want to show you what the sheet looks like. And then also talk about the liaison assignments for other committees, because, as Elizabeth is mentioning, just kind of communicating and getting the word out about how people should be using our design guidelines and what our committee is working on is super valuable, because the more people that know, the more people can do things in the way that we hope they would do them, and the more ideas that we can get from other committees and more things we can collaborate on. So to that end, I think the planning board is the most important organization for us to get more involved with, just because they're our parent committee, so to speak. And these are all the different meetings that they are holding for the rest of the year. And I think we should assign probably 2 members to cover these meetings. And when I say cover, what I really mean is check the agenda a couple days beforehand and see if there is any mention of West Concord related items, like for instance, this parking item that Elizabeth is talking about. If that's being discussed in April, we certainly would want to be there for that. So check the agenda. If there's nothing related to West Concord, then you do not have to attend, but if there is, you should go. So I'm going to be circulating this in email after the meeting, and I'd love it if, actually, I'm going to create another column for the second person who might be able to also commit to these different dates. I know this looks like a lot, but it's really only going to be a couple of times for each of us, given the growing size of our committee. So I'm going to circulate this so we can sign up and hopefully get all these meetings covered. And again, it doesn't mean you absolutely have to go to the meeting. It's just you check the agenda, and if there's something pertinent, you do attend, and then you report back to us on it. Okay. So let's see, one more thing. The other thing I wanted to do is see if we can get folks to commit to a couple of the other committees / commissions that do work that's related to ours. So the Cultural District Committee, Anna and I will go next week, and maybe if Anna likes it, Anna would volunteer to cover that as a liaison. But other committees are like, for instance, the Transportation Advisory Committee, Public Works. I feel like both of those definitely are doing things that affect us. And so I was hoping that I might be able to get a couple of volunteers to cover those meetings that are coming up. And then in the future as well. Barbara, go ahead.
Yeah, I could trade off the Trails Committee, which is interesting and educational, but to date at least has not done anything specific to what we're doing. Maybe in the future, but
Yeah.
right now I'd trade that one off and take either of the other 2, whichever you think is most critical right now.
It's a toss up. I don't know.
Oh.
Are either of these times better for you? Like second Tuesday at 7 versus Public Works is kind of like during the business day, so to speak, at 4, second Wednesday of every month.
So in that case, Public Works probably will not work as well when I go back to work in April. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So I think if you don't mind, I'm going to assign you to Transportation Advisory Committee.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you so much. All right. And let's see. I see, Anne, that you have your hand up. Do you want to see if you can communicate on this topic or another one? I see you're unmuted. Oh, wait. Okay. Ooh, I'm not hearing you, Anne. Okay. Let's see. Other folks, Nicole or John, would you be willing to go to
Yeah,
Public
willing
Works
to
meetings?
Go to public works meetings.
I can do Public Works, Barbara. I can do
Oh.
Public Works.
You would do Public Works? Okay, great. Much appreciated. All right, and then so that leaves Nicole and John without any assignments, but I wanted to ask, are there any committees that you two are especially interested in? We can double up on these that are here, or we can also expand our reach to others that you think are relevant for our work.
You think are relevant for our work.
I could go either way. Like there's the BFRT, and then there's the EBC. We said last time, maybe not.
Oh yeah, right.
It might be, some of these are so important that it might be good to have double coverage.
Yeah.
TAC, like the three that you assigned out really are so important that having double coverage wouldn't be the worst thing.
Okay. So maybe we'll start.
Sorry, but
yeah.
before I stop there though, like there was the remember there was the whole thing about there's like ride out playground, and then there was like breakdown in communication, and we felt like we
Yeah.
needed a liaison. What was that? Was that
was
Public Works?
That was the Rec Commission, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have not tuned into any of their stuff recently, but that one could be good to pop in on. I experienced that their meetings tended to be like located in their different park facilities, which was lovely, but did not it didn't lend itself to Zoom participation. I'm not sure if they're still doing that or not, but yeah. But I would say, yeah, that one could be a good one to keep an eye on too.
I mean, it's at least good to monitor what they're doing in case they want to, they want to put up a water park in the middle of Rideout again or something.
Yeah, or an amusement park at Walden Pond, which apparently there did used to be one a long time ago. I don't think they had anything to do with it, but yeah, fun fact. Also,
well, you can put me on that and I'll try to like research what they're doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and let's see. So Anna, do you mind if I sort of permanently volunteer you for the West Concord Junction Cultural District Committee? If that's not along the lines of your interest, then we can not do that except for next week. But I was just wondering.
I don't actually know if it is along my lines or not. So I'm very happy to go with you.
Okay.
And see.
Okay.
I mean,
okay, that works for me. And yeah, we can certainly find another committee member to liaise with them if necessary. So let's see. That leaves at the moment economic vitality, Bruce Freeman Rail Trail, or something else that is relevant for Nicole to cover. Nicole, I know you're not feeling well. I'm not sure if you're actually still on. Oh, yes, you are. Your hand is up. Nicole, go ahead.
So the cultural district is definitely up my alley. I understand that very easily. You do not want to put me on economic vitality.
I should not put you on economic vitality?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. That's fine. All right. So Nicole, I'll just put this.
You could put me on Bruce Freeman Rail Trail.
Okay. Great. Awesome. So maybe what we'll do is Anna will join the cultural district next time, and then Nicole will move on to being liaison for that, do you think? And then Anna, if you like the rail trail, let's go with that.
Yeah, and unless there's something that about the West Concord Greenway that, they want to run with, and I certainly want to promote that as well as I can.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, we'll kind of take a wait and see approach there, but I feel like there's so much good stuff going on with them that it wouldn't be bad to have two of you all, in the mix at some point over there. That's great. Let's see. And then I do have Linda, who's not here tonight, and I'll figure out what is best for her. Okay, Elizabeth, go ahead.
So I just want to remind everybody about the Notify Me, where you can sign up for whatever committee you're interested in, and you'll get notified when agendas get posted.
Yeah, that is really handy. Should I go there so we can do like a quick demo of that? Let's see. I signed up for it a long time ago, and I'm not sure if I know how to get to
Yeah,
it
it's on the
again.
left-hand, very left-hand column.
Notify me. Yay. Okay.
And then you just scroll down, you put in your email address, and then you can keep going, Agenda Center. And so you
Okay.
can click off whatever committee you're interested in. There, you will get an email verification for, you know, whatever you sign up for, and you have to reply to that email. But I think every committee and subcommittee is on here that posts agendas.
That is awesome. So it gets sent to you like when it gets posted, basically, and then you would know if they're covering something relevant for
Yep.
West Concord. Okay. That sounds like a big time saver. Thank you. Cool. Okay. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we need to talk about urgently. Don't think so. So why don't I do this? Let me open it up for, oh, Nicole, do you still have a comment, or is your hand up from before? Maybe not. So I would love to open it up for, oh shoot, I do have one more thing to say, and that is for our next meeting, we were hoping to have an in-person or hybrid meeting that would be on March 6th at 7:30. As I've been exploring places to have the meeting, it's become clear that if we could all possibly meet in person, that would be easier than trying to find a spot that will easily accommodate a hybrid meeting. I'm just wondering maybe if I could see a show of hands of the folks who are here right now, who could meet in person on the 6th of March at 7:30. Nicole, Anna, Barbara.
And Sue, I could probably get you the Bradford Mill. We have so many meeting rooms.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Good.
So yeah, maybe we'll put a pin in that because I was thinking we could meet at Harvey Wheeler. So I'm seeing that John was not raising his hand. John, are you not available to meet?
I am. I just was looking at my calendar.
Okay. Okay. Okay, great. I see it. Awesome. So I think everybody who's on right now seems like, and Greg Dorothy as well, yay, would be able to meet in person. So at this point, let's say that our meeting is going to be at Harvey Wheeler, probably in the downstairs conference room. I don't know if you guys have been down there or not. It is fine. It's like a big table. And we even, I think, would be able to project things if we needed to on a screen. It's just not super enabled for a Zoom meeting is all. So we'll meet in person. I will remind you and send a kind of like set of directions along with the invite that I email out so that you guys know how to get there, because I need to reserve it and get the keys and stuff because our meeting is after hours. Great. Okay. All right, so now let me just open it for public comment, see if anybody else on the call today has anything they'd like to share with us. Lois Suarez, I think, are you raising your hand?
Yes, I am.
Go ahead. Oh, could you tell me just what, sorry, could you tell me what your address is?
What?
I just need to know your address for the minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Lois Suarez, 34 Everett Street, apartment 10B, Concord, Massachusetts.
Excellent. Go ahead.
I saw the word green, and I happen to wear a hat for as a member of the Pollinator Health Advisory Committee. And I said, green. What are you about? and what's the green part about? We're working on a, basically big picture of a connected pollinator pathways in town and ways of connecting the greens and whatever. So I said, listen, and this is just me being me, not the committee. So, basically we're looking for that, pollinator friendly practices. And you, I guess, mentioned some like trees and whatever. And I said, So I did, that's where my listening was tonight. Just kind of listening. And I was curious. Thank you, Elizabeth, for the notifying me. I had no clue. That is, oh my God, that is like, sounds like magic. Where can I look at the West Concord Design Guidelines? Where can I find a copy of that? And specifically, I would be looking at the, the green and what's green or not painted green, not painted green, not plastic green, growing green. And
Definitely. Yeah. So
so,
let
I
me
mean, we're
see.
looking at, like a lot of things, people think pollinators, they think the perennials, the flowers kind of thing, but trees and bushes are really big, and especially in the spring, they're the places where the early pollinators, butterflies that really are hungry, need food, and their caterpillars, their babies need food, and then the caterpillars are also food for a lot of the young birds that are, come in early spring. And very honestly, I wasn't quite as aware of how early some things start in the world of nature. So anyway, just a couple thoughts like that.
Thank you for sharing that. And it sounds like our sort of nascent idea related to the connected green spaces in West Concord might be suitable for the pollinator initiative. So
yeah, I mean,
that's great.
there's overlays, and we've got through a bunch of winter sow things, we've got people, planting ahead, planning ahead and planting for pollinator plants. Mostly they're garden kind of plants, not, and they're smaller, like, when I say smaller, 5-6 feet max, some small, sunshade, but some for their garden, a beginning, and the compass, and every one of the workshops involves a conversation about pollinators. So, and we'll be doing stuff for Earth Day too.
That's
and
great.
Ag Day and Earth Day. So yeah, it'd be
That's great
nice,
to know about.
it'd be nice to like put some things together, I think.
Definitely. So yeah, let's talk about that more. We're going to be at the West Concord Junction Cultural District Committee on Tuesday, March 5th, talking to them about this whole connected green space idea. So certainly feel free to join that if you'd like, and I'm sure we'll be talking about it as well in our upcoming meetings.
Can you
so
say the name of the group? Tuesday, March 5th?
Oh yeah. Yes, it's West Concord Junction Cultural District Committee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they meet at 7 o'clock on the first Tuesday of every month.
Okay, and we usually meet the second Tuesday.
Okay, all right. So then, yeah,
you'll be able thank you so much. This was, it's amazing how many of our committees overlap or have pieces and parts that can go together nicely. Thank you.
Definitely. And I just wanted to point out, if you wanted to get to the design guidelines we were talking about.
I see it.
Yeah, you can go to the West Concord page, and then vision and planning, and then that's how you get there.
So Susan, if you want, give me 2 seconds. There's the design guidelines and what it's called the West Concord
master plan, maybe?
No, Junction Design Guidelines Preamble.
Yes, yeah. The preamble was something created by our committee during the pandemic when we had a little bit of time on our hands and realized that like the 72 pages sometimes was a little overwhelming for people. So we created the preamble, but it is something created by a bunch of volunteers, not necessarily professionals.
No, all right, so Okay, if you want to go to the West Concord Advisory Committee page,
Yes.
um,
Share here. That was, okay, so it would have been back here. Is this the page
and
you're
then
talking
just
about?
scroll down a little bit.
Yep.
And can you refresh?
Yes. Oops, hold on. My Zoom bar got in the way there.
There you go.
Oh, very nice.
Oh,
Thank
I gotta fix
you.
that.
Um,
I missed
but
the S, but I'll fix that.
yeah. Thank you
Okay.
for adding those there. That's super helpful.
Do you
Could you
want the West
put-
Concord Junction Design Guidelines preamble?
Yeah, I think that would be great because that would give all the information right there. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, and then I need, okay, Linda's here. Great. And so at another meeting, maybe next meeting, we can talk about how we would like to reorganize and perhaps add to our committee's web page. We have a couple of web pages, and I think probably we can make the info here a bit more descriptive about our committee and get people excited about the work we're doing. So I think we don't have time for that right now, but I'll put it on the agenda for next time, and we can kind of think about how we might want to reorganize this. And then I know there's a contact at the town who can help us, like Elizabeth did, just move some things around and perhaps add some images and stuff like that. Great. All right. So any other public comments? All right. So seeing none, I am going to make a motion that we adjourn at 8:50.